Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Monday morning. Jords has done a bit of a Burton. He says he's in a work meeting. What we have it on authority is he's not in a work meeting. Jords is still waiting for the Spurs players to come over and give them a round of applause. But he's been waiting since Saturday, so he might be a while. Jamie is with me here today, back again after Liverpool finally win a game. I'm here after United finally stopped winning a game in recent weeks. But we've got loads to talk about this morning. Please like, share, and subscribe the video. Jamie, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. I'm a bit disappointed. Where's the videos? You've been doing a lot of compilations the last few weeks. There's none today. I'm very disappointed.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's didn't fancy. Do you know? Go on.
Where I was looking for all the United cheers after the draw. They're in meltdown again. You know, well, it's just no win, no fun.
The thing is that there was this little minute of like, there wasn't really that many meltdowns. There was a little bit with the Spurs fans, and we did that yesterday.
But
then it was one of those days where yesterday kind of killed it, in the sense of you had City play and no one really cares, and then it all just goes quiet. We almost lost a day of conversation, because the Premier League, in their wisdom again, decided to put all the teams that everybody cares about playing on one day. And they're all like the Carabao Cup in the middle of the week. Like, they put all 5 teams that people care about on the same day.
What's with the no, like, I think it's 3 weekends now in 9 where they've had no early kickoff. And I hate that. I love, like, you go out in the morning, make it up, maybe go gym or go train and get a cup of coffee, and then you come down and you sit down at 12:30 and you're able to watch the match. Like, it's a nice start to the Saturday. But not having it, it's just like, it's just going to push now. Or they have like the late kickoff on Saturdays now. And I hate like a Saturday night football. It's like, I'd rather a match finish at say start at 5:30, finish at 7:30, then you've like your night to do whatever you want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I find it very strange. And I look at United as a great example. We played Forest, and I know Forest play Thursday this week, but we could have played earlier on the Saturday. We could have played on the Friday. They could have put a game on the Friday. They could have put us at 12:30. They could have put us at 2:00 or 4:30 yesterday and spread it for fans. Like having Man United and Arsenal play at the same time. Forget that I create content and I've got to watch both. Football fans like to watch all the big teams, and when you've got them all playing at similar times, it's very hard. 8:00 on a Saturday night makes no sense. That was meant to be the 12:30 game. There's no reason for that not to be 12:30. What you could have done is put Liverpool Palace on the Tuesday. It gives Liverpool enough rest time. It's equally, they've said it, I couldn't put Liverpool on at 12:30 because of the rest time from the Palace game.
But you didn't play any of our players.
Well, you didn't. But Palace played at 3:00. So it's okay for Palace to play 5 hours earlier than you did. It's all honestly, I don't think the people scheduling the games have very well functioning brains. They just don't ever think. They never, ever think, in my personal opinion.
The Stevens Day as well. They only have United playing on Boxing Day.
Yeah, St. Stevens. Yeah, only Man United at 8. I kind of get it this year a little bit because it's a Friday, and then you've got the Saturday and Sunday. But what you could have just done is made it easier for everybody in the festive period. Couple of games on the Boxing Day, couple of games on the Saturday, couple of games on the Sunday. What you should do over the festive is spread it, so that there's almost football nearly every day, but teams still get their rest. And that way fans don't have to go, right, it's all going to be piled into one day. But having said that, but Boxing Day football is a tradition in this country, and I am a little bit, it's the same in Ireland as well, because you guys follow the Premier League the same as we do. It's essentially the Irish National League as well, and the Welsh League and all. Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of like, say, the Irish community are very like similar to Liverpool and Manchester. That's why they're the 2 biggest teams in Ireland, because 50 years ago they were all traveling over back and forth. But a lot of us travel over for the Boxing Day fixtures or the Stevens Day fixtures. So I know it's a bit annoying that they don't have it on this year in the same way. But I suppose you can still go on the Saturday instead.
Yeah, this is true. Like, share, subscribe, people. We were going to start with Tottenham, but Jords hasn't arrived yet. So I'm going to start with Manchester United instead. Obviously, a disappointing draw for United away at Nottingham Forest, but the rhetoric's been kind of interesting since, because Gary Neville has gone in on Sesko, and he did have a bad game on Saturday. There's no doubt his touch was off. His hold-up play was average. He had a couple of decent opportunities, especially one with a great ball from Mbeumo, a half-decent first touch, and he's clean through on goal, and his first touch ends up being a pass back to the goalkeeper. There's United fans that have gone in on Amorim again, saying we were gaslit by those three games. What do you think with Man United? Yes, we sit 8th after this round of games, but we're also 2 points off second. Do you think there's space for panic and meltdown after a draw, but still unbeaten in the last 4 games? How do you see it as a big rival of Man United?
Yeah, like I've said it before. I think, say like last season, people obviously he didn't get maybe the performances last year, and I think he kind of more focused on Europa League. But then you come into this season, he's obviously brought in his new players. But I think there's going to be this season for United fans, and probably for the next few seasons, it'll be a little bit up and down because he's still trying to figure out exactly the players that are going to be in this team going forward. Like if you look at like, I know Sesko maybe didn't have the best Manchester United, but I think there has been signs that he does have a profile that would be a good player over the 10 games that we've seen him. I think you're probably maybe looking towards some of the players in the squad that maybe won't be there. Like say Dalot, I know he's getting a lot of criticism, but like he's not good enough for Manchester United at this stage, and I think he's someone that maybe needs to be moved on. But yeah, like 2 points off. If you had said to United fans, I said that we were saying this in the off air. If you had said to United fans after 9 games that you would be 2 points off second, they would have bit your hand off. You know what I mean? Considering how bad last year was. So yeah, there'll be up and down for United fans, but I try not to get too drawn into it. Just say, is there improvements that you're seeing in the team? Is there players that you like in the team? Are you seeing encouraging things about the team? And then look at that and stay positive on it. Like you can get so drawn into the toxic talk within social media, but like maybe don't go straight to social media when you watch a United game. Think about like, what did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And then go and maybe have a conversation with other people about it. Because otherwise, around United, it can get so toxic so quickly, especially when they don't win.
Yeah, look, I agree. I completely agree. I think that what I've realized with it's not every football fan either, but what I see a lot at the moment is it's like politics. Everything's very, very polarized.
Yeah.
Everything's polarized. Some of the people in my group chats spent a couple of weeks talking about this could be the beginning of something extra special. Then go into this was a massive mistake. We shouldn't have done this. This is the problem. Oh my God, we got so much wrong in the summer. And again, I look at that and go, there's some fair points being made, but it's emotion. I think I saw people at halftime when we were sitting in second. We could be in this title race. I can't believe it. This is amazing. Full time, I think we've been frauded. I'm like, no, you're the only fraud because you're pushing a narrative that no Man United fan with a functioning brain who is not overly emotional was thinking. None of us were thinking. I was thinking it'd be lovely to go into second place. It'd be lovely to finish the weekend in second place. Optically, it looks great. But it doesn't mean I'd go into the Spurs game with bounds and bounds more confidence. And I look at the way the team played at the weekend. And again, I don't think the system let us down at all. And a lot of people will go on, the system, the manager. We worked the ball into so many good areas and had so many good opportunities. And whether it was the final ball or it was the first touch during the chance, or maybe the shot a little bit as well, those 3 things let us down massively all game. So you'll see someone, the XG was low, the system was crap. No, if Sesko's first touch is great, he goes clean through on goal, and you would expect him to score. There was 3 or 4 shooting opportunities that we had where the shots were just awful and they were undercooked and they P-rolled to the goalkeeper. There were times we didn't cross the ball correctly or stuff along those lines. And even the goals we conceded, I can stomach the first goal to a certain degree because it was really good play. And Ahmad wasn't even really in the wrong position. He is just not as big and strong as Gibbs White.
Yeah. He's not a defender. Goal, you can see that. Like, he's not a defender.
And that's the risk and reward element.
Yeah.
I was frustrated more with the second goal. And when I first watched it, I looked at it a little bit as too many United players going for the same ball. Nobody commanded that area. And I think maybe if just Yoro goes up or just De Ligt, one, they might get it. They kind of got in each other's way. Secondly, there's more of you on the ground for any ricochets. But then there was a ricochet and Dalot was asleep. Dalot was asleep this time. He wasn't looking. And again, if he reacted quickly, he clears the ball and maybe we go on to win that game. Who knows? So again, it was players that let us down. And this is one of the things I keep talking about. The squad And someone will go, Terry, but it was the Cunhas and the Šeškos, the new guys. So when you say we need to buy better players, it's about squad depth. There were very few options on that bench. I think the manager made the mistakes, by the way, on the bench. I think Xerxes should have come on. I'd have brought Mainu on. But I'm not looking at Man United's bench at the moment and going, oh, look at all those players that could really change it for us. And I'm not happy with that overall, but understanding the context of where we are, I kind of get it. And it was a game where if we had the option to bring on players like Arsenal's bench, if we had a bench like Arsenal's, a bench like Man City's, if we had a bench like Liverpool's, then you look at it and go, well, I know he was out this weekend, but you guys had like Viets on the bench as an example, amongst others. We have no one of that level of attacking quality on our bench. And I know he hasn't had a great start to the Premier League, but we all know what a talented player he is. You look at Arsenal's bench at the weekend, and we don't even have attacking youngsters at the level of Waneri or Dalman. I'm not sure if Dalman was actually on the bench this weekend, but it's one of these things. And I saw United fans doing the whole Benjamin Sesko thing again this weekend, and I'm like, why are Man United fans my honest view is, why are we doing that? I look at it and go, that is not going to help him or us. I don't get that. Is purely to help rivals laugh at us. And I look at it and go, there's no need to be doing that up. In my personal opinion, that kind of stuff is just too far. Now, some United fans go, I can say what I want. Yes, you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't say it, but your free speech can be criticized. There's a difference between criticizing what you do and saying you can't do it. And we shouldn't try and muddy those waters. So this weekend was was disappointing for me. Yeah, I was looking at the players that came on for Arsenal. They brought on Lewis Skelly, Waneri, Merino, and Henkepe. And I look at those. Like Man United's bench doesn't have that on it. We've got Mainly that can come on and control them.
They're so further. Like that stage where Arteta was when he kind of was second season. Like in terms of, you know what I mean? They're at different levels in terms of where you're looking at any team, and it's probably not for.
Your mic keeps cutting out, by the way.
Oh, does it? I don't know what's going on with it. It was the other day as well.
Oh, here he is.
How's he coming?
They finally gave him the round of applause. So he left the stadium. Hello, mate.
How you doing?
Good, man. Good. Sorry, you were saying, Jamie. Sorry.
Yeah, let me know if it cuts out again. I might put it into a different.
Yeah, cut out just then. Yeah, it keeps cutting out.
Jords, I'll let you say your piece first.
Welcome. Well, we were just talking Man United and sort of the weird kind of meltdown after the game. Like there was definitely criticism for us this weekend, and I agree with the criticism for Cunha and that Šeško received, but it kind of felt like a lot of United fans just went back into that we're in trouble, Benjamin Sesko talk, and I'd say in my group chats, Sesko this, Sesko that, and I'm sitting there like, we've had a really good 4 games overall. Like I look at the last 4 matches and I think if you take those 4 games, you take the points and you extrapolate that over a season, you end up with 95 points. So the last 4 games have been quite good to us. We have a setback, and this is why I kept on saying to United fans, keep your feet on the ground, because I knew as soon as there was one setback, the world would be burning again. And it's crazy. But yet those same fans would be the ones talking about closing the gap on Arsenal and being in the title race had we won the football match. But yeah, what was your thoughts on United at the weekend, Jords?
Well, I didn't watch the game. I'll just go that there before they start shooting me. I didn't watch the game. You only watch one. But look, ultimately, the way I've got to look at it is from what I can see. Like you said, I think the narratives are being pushed already. That's like, oh yeah, look, we ain't getting. I think a lot of fans are already preparing for the 5 games win in a row or something, and they just wanted to get up in the air, like we're gonna win loads of games again, and got to realize that it's not always going to be flawless. Coming up against a tough Nottingham Forest team that, with Sean Dyche are going to look a lot better defensively. And I suppose they've also got that sort of revitalization of new manager bounce. Every team has it. We know Matt Amorim didn't have it. We know Man United didn't get to experience it, but usually teams experience that. So naturally, you're going to see an improvement from Nottingham Forest. And ultimately, look, you guys didn't lose the game. You're away from home. And if this was a couple of weeks ago, I think a lot of people would have been happy. They would have been happy with a draw away from home against Nottingham Forest, because this was a Nottingham Forest team that many people considered to be, want to say European rivals, you could say, because a lot of people at the start of the season thought they'd be battling for that sort of Conference League, Europa League positions. So it's a good result, 2-2 away from home. You rescued it, a great goal from Amad Diallo in the 81st minute. Take some confidence from the performance. You haven't lost, like you said, in the last 4 games. Be happy. Like, I think Man United fans should just be happy that you haven't lost in the last 4 games after watching your team lose however many the last 12 months.
I agree. I do agree overall. I think there was criticism on. I criticised the manager at certain players, but I just didn't feel after the game. I was disappointed, but I woke up the next morning and a few people go, "How did you feel after yesterday?" I went, "I feel all right. We didn't lose. We fought back." And what Amram said, it triggered a lot of people, but I think it triggered them because they knew he was right. The way we had that wobble, and we had that wobble in the beginning of the second half. Man United last season and Man United the majority of the season before definitely don't get a point out the game. We collapse. We probably concede another goal. We fall apart. And it was only 5 games ago against Brentford. It was very similar. We were getting battered, conceded, got back into the game with a goal, conceded again, and then just looked flimsy for the rest of the match. And there was some growth in that. And I think what a lot of United fans, they live in this mindset of, I've got to have the highest of standards because that's how you get back to the top. And I agree with that to a certain point, but you've got to understand where you are today. And we do have a squad that if you went through it and you were really objective and honest, it's going to sit between 5th and 10th in most people's rankings. 5th will be the maximum. 10th, in my opinion, is probably the lowest we could go. But we sit in that range, and we're currently sitting in that range in the league. We're a couple of points off top. I look now towards the next game, and I look at you guys, and I think this. We're going to segue into that in a minute, actually, because I want to do a couple of these comments here. I love this comment here. It says, Terry, respectfully, why don't you do these monologues for bad results for teams other than United or Arsenal? Are you telling me that we don't have discussions about bad results in recent times for Liverpool? Are you telling me we didn't do that when City won 1 in 13? Are you telling me we're not about to do that on Tottenham in a moment? Again, some of you, I'll be honest with you, I respect all of our viewers, but some of you really do say some absolute fucking bollocks. I've got to be blunt with you. Some of you really do right. You must be listening to the YouTubers that are jealous of the Football Terrace or something like that. I don't know, because to write something like that, bro, please get off the internet. Please go and make some friends. Go for a walk. Go gym. Go pet a dog. Do something, man. You are not a happy person, DJ. I feel for you, my brother. I feel for you, my friend. Weirdest comment ever. This year says the front three wasn't good versus Forest because they didn't have the space. So I disagree with you, Z. Sesko had the space when he had his bad touch. Sesko had the space when he should have let the ball run for Bruno that was coming in to shoot on goal, as an example. There was loads of times where we had space at the edge of the box with Cunha in possession, Ahmad in possession, but they would cross when they should have used the overlap, or they used the overlap when they should have fed the ball onto the inside. We made a lot of mistakes in those areas. And that is something that's fixable, because you can sit there and go through the footage and coach people. And that's about the team getting to know each other. That being said, in the previous 3 games, we were very good at that. So for me, this is why I'll look at patterns. If you go to be one in every 4 games, you're going to have a performance like the weekend, but the other 3 are like Liverpool, are like Brighton, are like Sunderland, then I'm not going to be overly unhappy, because that's fairly consistent for a team where we are right now. It's about the reaction for me. It's about what we do this next week against Spurs. And that brings a nice segue into the Spurs conversation, because Jords, it was very toxic at your ground at the weekend. I mean, it wasn't a great performance. I couldn't understand the players continually passing backwards, sometimes not trying to attack, set pieces where you just went short and didn't cross it, counter-attacks where you didn't really have a go at them. It was a very weird performance. And I didn't realize, actually, the craziest stat, the amount of defeats in the last 12 months is mad. But actually, you've lost almost as many games at home in the last 5 years at your ground as Arsenal have in 20 years at the Emirates, which I found I didn't realize your home form was that bad. I mean, but your fans were very unhappy, players unhappy, storming off the pitch. What do you think the problem at the moment at Tottenham is?
Well, first of all, I will say it's very over-exaggerated. I think everything's over-exaggerated when it comes to Spurs. It's like there's a massive problem. It's like a breakdown. And, I'm seeing people go, Thomas Frank out, and I'm like, you got to slow down. You got to slow down. Like, performance was awful. No excuses for the performance. I think that the basics were just wrong. Like I said, far too passive, way too negative. every time we got into those forward positions, we were just playing it backwards. Chelsea looked like the men against boys. It was just a bullying. Like, they just generally bullied us. We didn't go into that game with the right mentality. We were losing our jewels. You know, it was the basics for me where we just went wrong. It just, Chelsea wanted it more than us. And I think that's when I look at the game, it's the easiest way to describe it. I know a lot of people, I'm seeing it in the chat already. Talk about Xavi Simons. Talk about Xavi Simons. Don't think he had a good performance. I think he was pretty bad. I think just on the ball, and Jamie knows this, he's struggling. He's struggling like Verts. I think they're both just struggling to sort of find their feet. And I suppose in their
ball Verts into it there, yeah.
The only reason why I actually compare it is because, let's be honest, they're both 22. They both come from the Bundesliga. They're both very creative players with a high expectation coming into their teams from similar scenarios. So I just look at them and I think they're similar players in the way that they play, and they're both having some of the same similar struggles. I think for Xavi, he's struggling with the intensity, but more than anything, he's struggling to actually just be himself and be that creative player we know he can be. Doesn't play through the lines. Like, I think I saw a stat saying that Spurs have made 4 through balls all season. Now, I don't know this. I just see this on Twitter. I don't know the specifics, whether that's true. But if it is true, 4 through balls is extremely damning for us. That shows that we're not playing through lines. It shows we're not being risk averse enough. We're not trying to create. And obviously, in that game, I think we had 1 shot on target, 0.05 or 0.1 XG. It was just awful. It's not good enough. Against a rival at home, you need to show more. And that stat where you spoke about the home form, Terry, it's really bad, man. Like, it's really bad. In our last 19 games at home, we only won 3. We won 3 in our last 19. Ange Postecoglou was, I think the losses is 41. Ange Postecoglou was at fault for 20. Like, that's how bad we have been at home in these last couple seasons. And yeah, like we've almost lost as much as Arsenal because we've just been in a bad period since we moved into the stadium. It was supposed to propel us, supposed to give us new opportunities into new horizons, and it's not done that. It doesn't feel like a home. It's not on the West Ham side of thing where it's like a soulless bowl, but I do think that we are missing. We don't have that same feel as White Hart Lane does, and maybe there's something that the crowd and the club need to do to come together, but it is missing that same feeling. So when we are at home, it seems like the players are nervous at this moment in time. It's like they don't want to play. Our away record's flawless. I think we've only lost against Newcastle away from home this season. Apart from that, it's pretty much all wins and a couple draws. But whenever we're at home, we seem to struggle. We seem to not be up for it. The performances just aren't there. So some concerns, but I'm not nowhere near being like crazy mad about everything that's going on. I still think Frank will make the team better when he has some more players available. Injuries are hurting us, but he still needs to do a bit more with the players that he's got. He's got available to him at this moment in time. He needs to make it work. We were sold on his adaptability, on his coaching. So go out there, coach. Go out there and adapt and show us some better football, because the attacking play, there's no excuse for it. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on it, Jords? Jamie, with Tottenham? Because that scene we saw of the players sort of disrespecting Frank, not wanting to clap. You saw the way Thomas Frank sort of stared. It was the long stare afterwards that I thought not made it worse, because I think Thomas Frank was right. It was the wow. Do you think things are being overblown, or do you think there actually are some problems? I mean, because there are a lot of Tottenham fans don't like what Thomas Frank is doing. They're not enjoying it at all. Patrick, who comes on the terrace quite a bit, put a long tweet out about how this just isn't acceptable. It's getting called fossil football. But they do sit in and around the Champions League spots and spaces. So it feels a little bit like with Man United. I'm looking at it and going, are Spurs fans maybe, and I want to make sure I'm wording this in the politest possible way, are Spurs fans thinking they're a little bit better and bigger than they really are? And actually they need to improve the home form, yes, but maybe they're overperforming, but think they're underperforming. Like, how do you see it?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the expectation that you have on the team. But similar to what George was saying, I think it's definitely being overblown. Like, say Chelsea last week, they lost to Sunderland. They're in crisis because of where they were in the league. This week, Spurs lost to Chelsea. Now they're in crisis. You know what I mean? It's this constant state of teams in crisis when they lose a game. It's just people. I think you can look at a game and say maybe there were some aspects of the game that you're not happy with. And I think from a Spurs point of view, I would be looking at it and say last season, Ange was there, and They were so open, so easy to play against. Like, what did you lose that game last year? 6-3, was it?
That was against you lot, but we lost 4-2, I believe. 4-2.
Jackson got a hat trick, wasn't it?
That was the season. The first time we played in the first season, he got the hat trick, and then last season he got a couple goals.
Palmer. It's a Palmer penalty to Panenka, was it?
Yes. Do you know what it is? We were 2-0 up and we lost the game 4-2.
Yeah.
It was like a bad game for us last season.
So I think what Thomas Frank has come in, okay, and he said we need to be harder to beat, and that's what he's are. Do you know what I mean? Like, is there more difficult to play against now than you were under Ange? And that's fair enough. I think the next step for him, and maybe you could maybe look at him as his management style. He's a little bit more pragmatic in terms of the way he goes about and the way he does things. I think we're seeing that a little bit in how he's playing games. But to say that he's playing fossil football from a team that were probably one of the easiest teams to play against in world football is stupid. It's not, he's not, he to find that balance straight away after 10 games is going to be nearly impossible. So the fact that he's are fifth, ahead of Man United, ahead of Chelsea, ahead of probably all the other teams that you would have wanted to be ahead of 10 games or 9 games into a season is, I think, good in comparison to where he's were at this stage last year. So I think you can look at it from that aspect and say, yes, there's things that you want to prove. Yes, maybe. I'd say there's actually, I think, in terms of maybe, I look at obviously Liverpool a lot more than I probably would do other teams, but I think Liverpool this season, they're struggling to progress the ball forward. And I think actually Robertson coming into the team. Last year, Robertson and Trent, they were in the 95th and 91st percentile for ball progression from defenders in the Premier League. And I think that's when they were obviously the quick movements. They're able to move the ball really quickly into like their attacking players. I think that's something that Spurs are struggling with right now. Pedro Porro is someone who does that a little bit, and you can see that in the way that he plays football, but sometimes he might lose it. And I don't think Spurs is the same level of attacking players as Liverpool, like the likes of, like, say, a Salah or an Ekitike and Isaac. But the issue is that they, similar to Liverpool, they don't have players that are able to get players in dangerous positions. And that's when you see they kind of go over in that C shape around the defence, and then they end up going back to keeper and then kicking it long. They lose the ball. Happened a lot against Chelsea. So I think that's probably the issue that he needs to find. And maybe that's like bringing in maybe players that can't do that, but that takes time. Like being 10 games in and being fifth in the Premier League with like the players that you have, I think is good. But obviously it'll take time to maybe take another step in their development to go on and be like a free-flowing attacking team. But yeah, like it's crazy. Like if you look at where they are and how they've performed so far this season, I would be happy from a Spurs point of view. But there's obviously improvements. But is there not going to be improvements with any team in where they are? And if you're fifth or sixth, and you want to maybe be competing for major honours.
George, do you feel like it's multi-layered? And I mean this in the sense of it's very easy to cook Tottenham. Not maybe for me as a United fan. We're not in a great place, and I do find it hard. And the audience is going to do it. That's fine. But I look at it a little bit like it's a few things. I think that there were some poor individual performances Saturday. I do think the team's approach was very negative. That being said, it's not how you've approached every home game. I've watched every single Spurs game, and you've gone at teams, if that makes sense. That's why this was a different one for me. I also think there's an element here, and I think we all get suckered into this at points in time with our own teams. There are times where we all end up thinking our squad is much better than it really is. And there's this element sometimes of realizing that you know where you had the 17th worst squad in the league last year. But are you truly in the top 4 squads, top 5 squads, top 6 squads? There's an argument to be had over that. And I think I look at United in the same way and I go, we are going to play well in some games and not win this season because the squad isn't good enough. We're going to have a few injuries and then we're going to regress a little bit because the squad isn't good enough. You see with Arsenal this year, they've improved the squad. They've actually got 3 or 4 players out injured, but nobody's really noticing because the squad has got deeper. One of the reasons City struggled last year is because their recruitment had been bad for a couple of years. They then got some injuries to key players, and the guys stepping in weren't good enough. And I feel like that's the same with Spurs. You've got, obviously, Kulusevski's out at the minute. Solanke's good, but he's still not anywhere near a Harry Kane level. You've got Tell that I don't think you should have bought. I just don't think he's a good enough player for the Premier League, personally. I sort of look at your team and I think to myself, you've got some talented players, but then when you're looking at the fringes, you're looking at the players that step in when there's injuries. And I looked at your attack yesterday. The only guy, on Saturday was Kudus. But he was up against Cucurella, who did pocket him. But where I feel a bit sorry for Kudus, because everyone's, he got done, is well, what the fucking everybody else in the attack doing? And that's where I look at it and think, you think of City yesterday. Yes, Haaland's going to get all the plaudits for the 2 goals, but the way Foden and Cherky especially were linking up and playing, it was more than one threat, if that made sense. And that was the thing for me that I found frustrating Saturday with Tottenham. This is the problem when you have that weird day where there's only one game. You kind of feel like it was yesterday with Saturday. Is I just look at Spurs and I think Frank's still got to settle at being a bigger club with more pressure, with higher expectations. I think the fans have got to remain patient that your squad just isn't good enough and you need better recruitment. It's one of the reasons that Levy's gone is because of his strategy towards building the squad, the managers. And I think your club's realizing we can't keep going from attacking to pragmatist to attack because your squad ends up suffering for it. I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of meltdowns from Tottenham, and part of me thinks the reason that they're melting down a little bit more is because Arsenal were clear at the top. I have to say, I do think, not for you maybe, because you're pretty good like that, Jords. I can't lie. You're sort of, you don't like Arsenal, but you don't let Arsenal control your day-to-day thinking. Yeah. A lot of Tottenham fans do, and I think that whenever I see Tottenham fans this angry, it's normally when they're not doing great, but they see their biggest rivals doing very, very well. But I don't think overall Spurs are in a bad position. And I also think you're going to beat us this weekend. I know you've been bad at home. I just know, though, this Saturday, 12:30 kickoff, this isn't Tottenham Man United. This is 2009 Barcelona versus Man United. I just know you are going to be fucking amazing. Mainly because that's how the football gods work. You'll watch, as bad as you were if you play that badly against United, we will beat you. I'm very sure of that. We'll beat you. But I just know you're not going to do it. I know you're going to, and this is the mad bit. You're going to beat us, and it's going to be a Mardi Gras, and Thomas the Tank Engine's back. And I'm like, what's the point of all the meltdowns? That's sort of my view on it, mate. Sorry, back to you.
Yeah, no, exactly that. And I do think it's multi-layered. I do think that there's probably some other aspect that people are looking at rivals, they're looking at others, and they're like, oh, that should be us. And I think it goes back to like what you said. We finished 17th last year. We know we weren't the 17th worst squad, but there was a lot of players that contributed to us being 17th. There was a lot of players playing in those games, not performing, not turning up. And that helped us get to 17th, losing 4 or 5 games in the Premier League in a row. So I do look at this squad, and I haven't overrated this squad. I look at a 5th, 6th team that's going to finish in around those positions is going to lose a lot of games. They lose around 10 to 12, 13 games a season, sometimes a little bit more. So you're going to lose in and around that, where we're at, I think, 10 games in, we've lost 3. That averages out to around 10 games across the season, which is so it's fine by me. And then I look at it as well and I say, you know, a team that's 5th or 6th is going to drop points. They're going to have some, like I say, some good performances or some performances where you're going to be good but not get the points. Some performances where you're going to be really bad because ultimately you haven't got these star players. The one thing we missed that we haven't had, what we had in the past, was like I say, that Harry Kane, the son, we had star players that would get us out of these games. They would score goals for us. We have no natural goal scorers in our team right now. There's nobody that I look at in the team and say they score goals, or even they were scoring goals at their previous side. Richarlison's not a high goal scorer. Kudus, so much as I love him, he's not a goal scorer. He's not a goal scorer. Muani, I mean, is he a goal scorer? Not really. I mean,
no, I mean Muani as in like you bring him into for like, I know he's on loan, but like, what is he? What value is he adding to the team? Do you know what I mean? He's just like, maybe it's a case of that he's isolated, but like he wasn't wanted at PSG. So I don't know. It is a bit strange. I think, say Kudus has come in, there's a big over reliance on him now. Xavi Simons maybe hasn't turned up so far, but yeah, I think Kudus had a good start to the season. Now there's a reliance on him to get nearly every opportunity, which doesn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? It's for a team of your caliber, but
it makes it very easy to mark Spurs out of the game. Very predictable. You know, you get a man on, like I'd say, Cucurella dealt with him really well. Cucurella done a great defensive job just following him man to man. Even when he was coming in field, he's literally tracking him in field, didn't give him no space. But even when it's not the 1v1, it's very easy to just get 2 players on Kudus and you're going to get him out of the game. He might beat them 1 or 2 times, but majority of the time, he's going to get wrapped up and he's just going to be busy on that same sort of wing area. So Spurs have got a lot to work on. I do think that there is a few things Thomas Frank is getting wrong in those attacking patterns. I don't think there's enough variety. I think it's very basic, like say, get the ball out to Kudus, make something happen. Get the ball out to the left, make something happen. He needs to show a bit more variety in the way that we attack. A bit too many direct long balls from the goalkeeper. He needs to play it along the floor. And we You need a midfielder that's going to play through the lines. These players have got to be a bit more risk averse. They've got to make these risky passes. I'd rather my players be doing what Bruno does, and I know a lot of people hate Bruno for it, but I'd rather my players do that, get the passes wrong, and actually try than not do it at all and just play it backwards and sideways, because we're not getting creating no attacks.
Do you know, I just seen a comment there as well. You know, it doesn't make sense to me. People say Spurs have I seen Spurs have won 3 of the last 19 home games, something like that. Like, why are we looking at a manager like Ange last season? Why are we looking at his record and saying that Spurs have lost 3 of the last 19 home games? People do it with Liverpool as well. They're like, they were in Dubai and Ibiza at the end of last season. They're like counting they've lost X amount of games in like X amount of period of time. Doesn't make sense. Just look at it from now and say, listen, the start of the season maybe hasn't been the best. Similar to like Liverpool have lost what 4 or 5, 6 of the last 7, I think, or no, 6 of the last 8 now. But like, they're still third. Do you know what I mean? They've gone through one of their worst patches in like the last 100 years, and they're still third and tipping away.
About this, yes, they've won 3 of the last 19 home games, which is why Thomas Frank can't be picking up all the slack. I spoke about this when it comes to Amorim. Amorim didn't improve Man United until the last 4 games, in terms of if you're going to look at this solely as winning games on the bounce. You know, he won 3. It took him a best part of a year to win 3 on the bounce. We're now unbeaten in 4 in the league. This is the best unbeaten run in the league we've had for 2.5 years. And he is partly accountable for not improving us until this point. But what I won't do is throw Ten Hag's record at him at the same time, because that doesn't make any sense. I always remember when City got their money and started becoming a better team, and you would see those stats, maybe like 2013, 2014, see these stats of Liverpool have only lost to City only 3 times in the last 20 years in the Premier League. It's like, well, why are you throwing stats in for when City were crap and had no money? But you almost got to draw a line and go, you can't be comparing the City stats before they're a completely different animal now. And I feel that we do that in manager conversations. Thomas Frank's being tasked with improving it, but I wouldn't put that record on the whole record on him at the same time. I mean, that's an exaggeration. It really is. But I also think with fans, we all seek this utopia. We want to be perfect and win every game, and it's right to criticize. I do think there's this element sometimes of forgetting. Everybody wants to be the apex predator, but some of you are just rabbits, man. Like, you've got to remember that. Like, you can change. It's a little bit. You ever play a computer game when you were a kid called Altered Beast, where throughout the game you went from being a human, throughout each stage, it was like a Sega Master System game. It was a really cool game, and each stage you got to turn into a bigger and more dangerous animal to fight the baddies. That's football, in the sense of you can be a rabbit, you can become a lion, like that can happen, but it isn't going to happen overnight. And I think that everybody wants the improvements instantly. And the reason Daniel Levy's gone is because he screwed you guys over by bringing in and changing things up, changing the way you play. You've now gone back to a Thomas Frank, who I still think is a very, very talented manager. It's going to take time for your squad and your team. And what you might find, that little argument between Van der Ven and Jed Spencer, might be some of the players sitting again, I just preferred when we tried to attack more. I preferred when we did it the Ange way. And this is what happens when you change directions all the time. You end up with these problems in your squad of players going, well, I came in to play X way, or because Jed was there already, but I was introduced to bring this. And we're not doing that as much now with Thomas Frank because we're more conservative. There might be some that didn't like playing for Ange because they liked a more conservative approach and they'll thrive in this system. But the issue is, when you keep going 180 on how you play football, is you end up with these Frankenstein squads, players that were bought for certain managers or styles, like almost they're at loggerheads with one another because they both want to do things in different ways. And it's why you need a clear path. And it's why Tottenham, like Man United, after a number of years of not building the squad correctly because you're changing direction, it's going to take time. And I think you said it right, Jules. I think you're right to criticize in the moment, but the level of meltdown I've seen, and the pushback I've had is, well, Terry, we've got the right to want to be a brilliant team. I'm like, yeah, you have. But you're not going to get that by continually chopping and changing. You need some consistency at every level for a period of time, and you're going to go through these bumps in the road. I agree with you 100% on that. I really do. This here, so let's go to some of these comments here. This says, I remember that Jords guy. That Jords guy, so you can say Jords, he's here. He's not here. With a do-rag, hyping up Xavi Simons like mad. He even claimed Simons was better than Eze.
People always like, you know what it is? I think a lot of people, you know what it is? I say they hear, but they don't listen. What I actually said was, I believe Xavi Simons has more ability than Eze, and across his time in the Premier League, I think he will prove it. But he has to prove it. What Eze's done in the Premier League is more than what Simons has done, so he's better right now. But there's like 5 years between them. So by the time Simons gets to Eze age, I think he'll be a better player. Like, he'll develop more. That's what I said. But the people just hear Simons is better than Eze, and they make that the whole conversation. But I hear it, innit? Like, we'll see.
Eze only got his first goal there against Crystal Palace, no, for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's his first. He's not been good. I think if any people talk about Eze at Arsenal right now, he's had some decent moments. Some good, decent, okay performance. But in the 10 has not been good. I don't think anyone you can look at them and say, yeah, he's been great. Because Arsenal haven't been that good in the open play. Like, they've been okay. They've been getting better, but not been like free flowing. So, do you know what? Take from it what you want, people, innit? I don't think Eze's been good. Simons hasn't been good. They've both been meh.
You think Eze's been meh?
Yeah, I think
it's been a bit. I'd say it's like, because Arsenal are obviously doing really well, you look to the positives more than you would look to the negatives. Obviously, with Spurs maybe not being top of the league, you're like, okay, where are our issues? And Simons hasn't been at the same level. Obviously, Arsenal have so much quality in the squad. So you look at like Saka, Gyökeres, other players, and you can say, if you don't perform every single week like Eze maybe hasn't done so far, then you can say, okay, well, it doesn't really matter because we have other players that can step up. Whereas I think with Spurs, it's a lot more emphasis on Simons because he needs to deliver. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Eze's I think Eze's done all right, to be fair. I think what Eze's struggling with, I think the area he's struggling with is like a lot of players that go from, and Palace fans will hate this being said, when you go to an Arsenal, when you go to a Man United, when you go to a Chelsea, when they're at the peak of their powers, Liverpool's, most teams sit back against you and it's like, fuck, where's the space gone? It's a different level of playing. Same as when you're a defender and you go to these bigger clubs, you start doing more isolated one-on-one defending, as opposed to when you're sitting in a deeper block in a more compact system. And for whatever reason, it never gets discussed by the mainstream media. They never go into this detail, and it's very annoying. Oh, I've been called out here, boys. I can't wait to read this to you. It's Jamie. This is Terry. If you know so much about running a football club, why are you sat in your room? But it's not my room. It's a purpose-built office and studio. It's not a bedroom. Talking on YouTube, why are you not running a club? Stop acting like you know everything. People can have different opinions. So the first thing I'm going to say is, Jamie, if you know so much about running a YouTube channel and how to host it, why are you sat in your room talking at a YouTube channel and not running your own is my first response. Secondly, it's this. I didn't say people can't have different opinions. This is the thing. If we're going to have a real honest debate here and opinions, your claim is absolutely false, because at no point did I say people can't have different opinions. What I've said is that Spurs running their football club by changing directions 180 every couple of years is bad for it. Why do I believe in this, in my opinion, to be a fact, is when you look at most of the clubs that are at the top and maintain it, is they have a clear path. They don't deviate 180 on how they play. It's a variation, but the same direction. And they don't always need massive squad overhauls to make the new system work. Spurs and Man United, of the traditional top six, both going 180s too often. So for me, I'm not saying you can't have a difference of opinion on that. I'm saying that I think my opinion is right. You can believe what you want. If you want to change my mind, you've got to present me with facts. And the one thing I've been asking for a long time is show me a team that changes its direction 180, its footballing ideology 180, regularly over a 5, 6, 7 year period, that consistently challenges and wins major trophies. Find me that team. And don't give me an example of a one-horse race like in France or a one-horse race like in Germany. Show me a competitive league where that works, where that happens. I can't see many examples. But yes, thanks for the challenge, bro. But it's I hope that made sense.
That was me on my alt account.
on your burner. I love it. By the way, everyone who's watching, please hit the like button. If you're watching over on X, thank you very much for tuning in. Please repost, please like it. But if you want to come and join the community and joining with the conversation, there is a link on the post that you can join us here now live on YouTube. Patrick here says, in my opinion, fans of every club are sold projects, and that breeds an expectation when players are bought and managers are changed. Progression is never as linear as fans want it to be, and when you hit a blip, it blows those expectations up. It's so true, and I think that the word standards and that kind of very reductive approach football fans have taken. I have standards. I want this. I want it now. Progression has never been linear. It's never been linear at any stage of sport. It just hasn't been. And you know, the funniest bit for me is when people moan about not being successful. When your counter is, well, we need to do these things. No, we just got to go and win. Yes, but we have to put these actions in place. Why? Well, that's what all the teams that you want to be like did to get there. I love how I hate how people ignore what the Cities and the Liverpools and the Arsenals, if we just keep it to the Premier League, had to put in place to get to where they've been in the last 5 to 10 years, win what they've won, challenge for what they've won. We want to ignore the stepping stones of getting there. So I just want to get there, though. Yeah, I understand that. But how? I don't care about how. Or maybe you should. Maybe you'd be less angry if you understood. Again, in life, maybe if you understood how and why, you wouldn't be as angry. Just a suggestion. Great comment, Patrick. Great comment.
It's a great comment, but it kind of comes back to that whole thing with results. Like football, for the most part, is a journey. Do you know what I mean? Like you going through a season. If you're going to games, if you're like following your team, you're sitting down every week, and it's meant to be enjoyable from that experience. You're not just meant to like just take it and look at the live score and say we won. Okay, tick, move on to the next. I'd be happy about it. Do you know what I mean? It's about like enjoying the actual experience. That's what like if you talk to maybe say if you talk to say a lot of Liverpool fans, right? When we were like really bad when Klopp first came in, it wasn't the case of like we didn't know that we were bad. It was like the case of we were on a journey to like get good. You know what I mean? We knew when we were seeing steps in that evolution to get better, and we were all on that together. And like there wasn't to say that there was like some issues along the way, but that's what it should be about. And you shouldn't just take it every time like you lose a game that it's going to blow up because your expectation or your standards from when 20 years ago when you were winning a league or when you were good, that's what the expectation was. Just enjoy where you are now, what journey you're going on, where that could lead to, and then take it day by day or week by week, whatever it is, and enjoy it. Like that is what football should be about.
It certainly should. And the only people that I've seen that have tried to quash the idea of step change, growth, the journey, yes, you're going to criticize and be angry along the way, but it's kind of enjoying the overall flow, are the people that want to scorch earth after every bad result. Because if they agree with the idea that journeys are needed, it undermines, it's purely a content creation thing. It undermines their content creation. Yeah. Because if you agree that it's going to take Spurs and Man United, if we take us as an example, if it's going to take us a minimum 3 years from here to build the squad, to build the play, to get to a consistency where you're not melting down every week, if those people agree that there's a journey and it's going to take time, then it stops them from being able to have crash outs whenever they feel like it, if you're agreeing that that isn't the right approach. So you can't agree with the not the sane logic, you can't agree with the actual approach because it means you can't behave on TikTok. It means you can't behave on YouTube. It means you can't rant in the way you want. You can criticize, of course you can, but it's the level of ranting. It's the things that you say. It's the over-exaggerated reactions that you have. As we said with Man United fans this weekend, I saw some people tweeting at second half, I think we could catch Arsenal to sack this manager. He's a fraud. Now, if you agree that it's a journey and going to take time, you could never behave like that and think it was rational, because it isn't rational. It's overly emotional. So I do agree. I do agree. Your journey ain't the same. No one's journey is the same. Man United have purchased a first 11 from last season and this season, Terry. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means at all. 100% Jords said Spurs had the better deal with Xavi, and Xavi is better than Eze. He fully said that. Don't be doing up revisionism now, Jords. Let it all work out. Oh.
I don't need to revise anything. I mean, I said what I said and I explained it, but you obviously didn't listen. So you have to listen.
You're going to get clipped up, George. I got to go searching through the old lives, looking for the piece.
TZA, right? I don't know how you pronounce that. Is it Taz? I don't know if it's the Z silent. Sorry. You super chat before. Respect you, bro. But what you just super chatted is exactly what I heard Jords say. To be honest with you, he's like, he does think he's better and he thinks he's going to prove it over the course of time in the Premier League. The last part, let it all work out. We'll see in the wash, won't we? Like, we'll see in the wash. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Terry, I agree with you. Tesco was shit, and Staffy compared him to Lord Gyökeres. Comparing the two is like comparing a water pistol to an M16. Pav, I get you're going to cook Staffy because what he said, and then Gyökeres had a brilliant game. But the game before, Sesko was looking amazing. Some of his touches, some of his hold-up play, the touch, the turn, the pass to set up our third goal in the game, which was massively important, was phenomenal. So this idea that Tesco's been bad all season, I think, is an absolutely crazy take, in my opinion. Now, he also super chat is saying, I remember when we signed Eze, you said you wanted Xavi Simons anyway. I wonder if you're regretting not getting Eze now. Would you swap, Jords? Based on this super chat, would you swap?
Ooh.
No, because I still think that he has more ability. He just has to prove it. It's going to take time. I think people are just mad that I was dropping money sleeves on Simmons or not Eze, innit? Like, hey, when it all works out, I'm going to be the one who's laughing with the last laugh. So I'm glad that I rattled so many people with my take, though.
It's like the Eze sign and let it all work out. You've been playing that.
Oh, Jamie's back, guys. Jamie's back. He said, you still haven't told me why you were not working inside a football club and why you're sat in your home trying to become a millionaire of being a bum all day long, sitting in your chair posting, I mean, probably fake news is what you're going to write. So, I mean, look, if I become a millionaire by sitting on a chair being a bum at home, surely that would deserve an award of some level, some kind of Nobel Prize of some sort, to be a bum and to be untalented and lazy and become a millionaire. Why am I not running a football club? I'll tell you the honest answer is that my understanding of how football clubs operate and how they run has really been gained in the last 5 to 6 years, being on YouTube, listening to fans of successful clubs, reading about what broken clubs have done to fix themselves, reading what clubs that had no money and no real history, once they got money, how they built things, and it's looking at those structures. So that's where my understanding comes from. But my understanding isn't about me being an expert. What I do when I speak on how good clubs are run, it isn't that I'm an expert, is that I'm repeating what the experts say and do. Okay? So I don't need to be a doctor to say, if I slit an artery and I'm bleeding a lot, I'm going to bleed out and die. I don't need a medical degree to know that, because doctors and experts tell you, put pressure on it, stop yourself from bleeding as you'll die. There's loads of things we all say and do. There's loads of things we know and understand. We all know. I don't need to be a mechanic or an engineer or know much about cars to understand if I put diesel into a petrol engine, it will break. But if I was to turn around to my brother and say, bruv, don't put diesel in your petrol car, if my brother's response is, you don't even build cars, what are you telling me what to do? That'd be very weird, wouldn't it? So you don't need to be an expert in something to hold an opinion on it. My opinion on how to run a football club is based on what the successful clubs do. So that's what I don't need to know how to run a club. What you need to do is to change my mind, is show me that the people providing those facts are wrong. It's not about proving me wrong. It's about proving the experts on how to run things. That's it, my friend. You've got to disprove them, not me, because I'm not giving you it as same as net. I'm not creating the narrative that net spend isn't real. The football clubs are, because they don't use it internally. So it's not about, I'm going to debunk Terry. It's debunk the football clubs. Well, someone says that's just basic. Are you actually arguing that's just basic knowledge? I was giving you an example. Okay, I'll give you another example. When you get the reports that come out about what food we shouldn't eat, do you shout at your friends when they tell you about it because the scientists have said it? Or do you say, you ain't a scientist, I ain't listening to you? I mean, you've got to take it. I'm giving you an example. Okay? That's it. Why does everyone come onto TFT to tell us how their players are better than Arsenal's constantly? Why are they obsessed with my club, more obsessed with my club than their own?
That's one for you, Terry.
Victim mentality, man. every time, man, it's like, oh, we're here to talk about Arsenal. No, Eze was gonna go to Spurs, then he joined Arsenal. That's why there was a comparison. Like, what are we doing here? It's nothing about him being an Arsenal player. It was the fact he was gonna join Spurs. But I hear you.
They are the benchmark now.
The champions are the benchmark. That's who you're trying to be. That's who you're trying to be.
Well, you're not trying to be Liverpool this season, are you?
Yeah, well, they're trying to beat Liverpool because they're trying to beat the champions. Well, we're giving away wins easy enough, so you should be able to beat us.
Definitely the benchmark this year.
Yeah.
Jords, are you not having deja vu with Frank's football and looking like another disaster like Nuno?
Nah, man. Nuno ball was really bad. Like, the attacking play was non-existent. Let me not lie though. I don't think it's as so much better. Like, I think there are some similarities in the way that we've set up, and sort of, I think the system itself is a lot better under Frank, but our lack of attacking threat, you could say, is similar. Harry Kane managed to save us. And I think for the reason why Nuno got sacked was in all of our games against our rivals, he lost. So Man United, we got spanked 3-0. Chelsea, we got spanked 3-0. Arsenal, we got spanked 3-1. We also lost to West Ham. And these were all within his first 10 Premier League games. So to have so many damning losses, that's why he got sacked more than anything.
His home form and away form was bad. Not just the home.
Yeah, and Nuno, he should never have, again, if I was talking to Nuno, if he was still one of my clients, I'd have said, listen, don't take the job. You're like 14th choice. It's never a good sign. Do you know what I mean? It's just 14th choice. Jamie's getting memories back of, his prom date, number 14. She might say yes. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
well, I was number 14 or she was.
The girl that I went to the prom with, her daughter's now in EastEnders. Funnily enough, it's really random because when her daughter appeared on the show, she's about the same age as when I met her mum, and it freaked me out. I was like, oh my God, I know that person. And I didn't think much of it. And then I saw it on Facebook. I was like, oh shit, it's your daughter. Yeah, big up if you're watching Charlton. She was called Charlton at school. She was called Charlton at school because she supported Charlton. No real issues there. Just called her Charlton.
Original.
Yeah, more original. Yeah, probably just Charlton. It's funny because I haven't seen her. She's married and stuff now, but there's been times where I've been told, like, people, like lads from school have seen her. Yeah, we're in their 30s, 40s now, and she'll be out with her kids and her husband, and then there's be some random bloke with a bus and a van going, Charlton! And he's like, what's going on? He goes, my nickname from school. It's like, I think it's nice when a nickname from school sticks. I do like that. Hey, Terry, for the more of Jamie on the panels fund. Oh. But Jamie's really, really, really expensive to get him on more. So we need more.
I knew this out of good of my health,
It does.
I'll be telling my price.
Evan here says, did you guys see Spence and Van der Ven snubbing Frank at the weekend? Thoughts?
I don't necessarily think they were snubbing Frank. I think they were just really angry, and less right. They were the two players that caused the goals. So I actually think they were angry at themselves. But to do that on a pitch in a game where the fans are booing, you've got to be better. Van der Ven's a vice captain as well, so got to show some more experience and leadership there. But I don't think it's as big a moment as many people are making out to be.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It depends so much on the context. Like, were they annoyed and not clapping the fans? Were they snubbing Frank? Like, what? Like, you know what I mean? It looked bad, but it depends, I suppose, on the context of it. But yeah, no, like I think it was more I think you said it earlier on, Terry. Thomas Frank obviously turned around and was like, "What the fuck?" Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a bit of a bad one.
Well, Jerome here says Terry is very good at creating straw man arguments. The coach can still be a bad one, but your build behind the scenes takes time because it's gonna make mistakes. But I've never disagreed with that. Like I've said, Thomas Frank deserves criticism. I've said that. I'm not saying Nuno did a good job. I just think he shouldn't have taken a job where it was so public that he was the 14th choice. I mean, I'm not too sure where the straw man argument is. What I'm talking about here is balance. Could you have got a better manager than Thomas? Is there a better manager in the world than Thomas Frank that could make you even better than you are now? Yes. Was that person available for Spurs? Maybe, maybe not. But no one has sat here saying that you can't criticize Thomas Frank and say it's all about the squad and the way the club has been built. I haven't said that. it's a balance, is what I said. That's for me the opposite of a straw man argument. It's looking at multiple issues and not ignoring just one, or not just focusing on one of them, my friend. So I think that's the opposite of a straw man argument. Are you talking about Amorim? Again, but I've criticised Amorim. I've criticised Amorim and said he's made loads of mistakes. All I'm saying is I'm not going to take another manager's record and go. But Amorim isn't accountable for us not going unbeaten for 2.5 years. He's accountable for only going unbeaten for 4 games in a year. He can't be accountable for the previous person's record. It's not a straw man argument. Say you join my team, you join my sales team, and the guy that you replaced didn't make a sale in 12 months. And I bring you in for a meeting after 3 months and go, listen, mate, that's 15 months with no sales. You'd go, fuck off. I've only been here 3. It's not a straw man argument. It's absolute fairness. Can you imagine your boss punished you for the failings of the person that you replaced? Ridiculous. Come on now. It's the opposite of a straw man argument. Take his record. I spoke on him. You've lost, bruv. You're out of here. We're done. We're done with that. Moving on. Because it makes no sense. Absolutely finished out here. Big win for Arsenal again at the weekend, gents. An important one because they played first. They got a goal in. I mean, I thought it was. Did you see the actual the second goal? This is why stats are a little misleading at times. You know, Chelsea's goal against Tottenham, that was classified as an open play goal. Arsenal's second goal against Burnley has been classified as a counter-attack. I don't even know how they actually work the difference out. But they scored 2 goals. Declan Rice, a fantastic performance. Gyökeres really turned up at the weekend. I mean, they're looking a little bit formidable at the moment, Jords.
Yeah. I think, to be fair, they won all these games that many people expected them to. I said myself, it was a big statement at the time, that I thought they'd go unbeaten they'd go win. They'd go on a winning run until the Tottenham game. Now I don't know if we're going to beat them at the Emirates now. Just looking at the way we're performing, we need to see these next couple games we're playing.
Your away form's good. Your away form's good.
That's what I mean. Our away form is good, so I did have confidence that we'll be able to take something from it. Now getting a win might be too far, but I did think, this sort of run of, was it West Ham, Fulham, Burnley? I expected them to win these games, and especially the way they done it. Very comfortable, easy, clean sheets. And that game, I mean, look, they showed it again. To be fair, I'll give it to them. They actually looked better. And that's why I said, they looked better in open play in that game. Albeit it was Burnley, you're naturally going to create a lot more. I know I heard Arsenal fans referring to everyone kept saying, oh, but look at the Liverpool game. They're really tough at home and all these things. I was like, no. This is fucking Burnley, man. You're going to deal with them. Gyökeres looked good, though. I'll give it to him. Gyökeres, I think he generally is going to be a little man bully. He's going to bully all the little clubs and not really do much against the big teams. But hey, if that wins them the league, it wins them the league. That's all you need to do. So he looked good against Burnley.
He's scoring against you, man, there, isn't it?
Well, we'll see. We will see. I wouldn't mind. If it doesn't contribute to a win, then it don't mean much. But I think he did have a good game. He's looking a bit more dynamic in his way of playing, sort of linking play and so on. Because do you know, sometimes I watch him, he looks really stiff. I've said it, he looks like a centre back up top. But there's some games watch him, and I'm like, okay, this is what I saw at Sporting. You're linking play, you're dropping a bit deeper, you're doing some passes, playing through the lines. He looked good, and Arsenal look good. They're pretty much flawless at the moment. I don't think they're obviously you can slight them on the open play goal stuff, but that's us. I'll be honest. I know we're all just using a stick to poke them with. It's not. They are pretty much flawless at this moment in time. Then there's nothing that you could point out and say this is terrible, this is wrong. So, yeah, man. Look, props to them. It's a very fairly comfortable win against Burnley, and an expected one.
Yeah. I didn't know. I was watching the United game, so I didn't see the full match. I was watching some of the highlights of the Arsenal match. But they're just clicking right now. Do you know what I mean? They're in their flow state, whatever you want to call it. It'd be interesting though, because obviously will they be able to keep that up throughout the season? I think they have a squad that can definitely go a lot further than say last year, like we were talking about. They obviously picked up a good few injuries last year, and that's what hampered them a good bit. But they obviously have a squad there now that can compete. I think for Man City and Liverpool, they just need to kind of stay within touch and distance, and hopefully that something happens with them. But they're never mind conceding a goal; they're not even conceding shots. So if they score 1 goal, the game is almost over. So that's the worry for everyone else. But I do think Gyökeres, those games that Arsenal were struggling with in maybe last season, for example, were the games that the teams that they should have beat. Like they've always been good in bigger games. Like up until the Arsenal or the Liverpool game, I think they hadn't lost a game in like 5 years or something against the Big Six. So they're always competitive in those games, but it was the other games that maybe they were a bit of their downfall. So yeah, if Gyökeres obviously shows up in them games and gets them the goals, gets them the points, then I think that's a big win for Arsenal. And then obviously they can kind of just not lose against the Big Six, and that's what will get them over the line. So yeah, no, worrying at the minute, but hopefully there's a long season. So hopefully if the others can stay in distance, then there might be a few chinks in the armor come maybe the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree with what you're both saying. They do look pretty flawless at the minute. I think they can get better, which I think is a sobering fact for City and Liverpool chasing. I know that Sunderland and Bournemouth are up near the top, but I just think they'll peter out, and they'll have good seasons, but they're not going to be up there towards the end. I don't think. Like watching Bournemouth yesterday, City were good. They annoyed me. It's like, don't get ahead of yourselves. Why are you playing with that fucking eye-line against Ireland, you knobheads? And stepping out. Honestly, I was watching it, and I don't want City to win a game. I'm a Man United fan, but you watch it, and sometimes it's not about wanting City to lose. I'm watching it just as a football fan thinking, why are you doing that? The teams that have got things off of City this year, hard to break down, compact, counter. Why are you sitting on their halfway line where Haaland can make runs and he ain't offside? I find sometimes these tactics from teams very strange. But with Arsenal, I thought their game at the weekend, it was a hard one for me to watch because United were playing at the same time. But the second half was interesting because there's moments where I was just start watching the Arsenal game more because the United game was making me nervous. But they were just, even in the second half, they were 2-0 up. And I felt they just played with Burnley like they were like a cat with a mouse. It was, you can have the ball. I saw a rival doing they were pinning Arsenal back. Yeah, they were pinning them back and not getting shots, not creating chances, not getting any shots on target. Arsenal were just playing with them in second gear. And that's always a nerve-wracking sign. I saw Liverpool do that in the early stages of last season, as an example. I saw you do it in the 1920 season as well. You toyed with most teams. And it's where this is going to pay dividends for Arsenal is the back end of the season. Having to slog your guts out for 90 minutes to win games early can always hurt those legs. It's why City was so formidable in those 4 years, where it always felt to me, because you heard this about City every season. Oh, they don't look as good. They don't look as good in the first 10 games this year. Yeah, that's because they're not playing at full throttle. They're reserving something, and there's something in that. A lot of great boxers fight like that. Alexander Usyk fights like that. Floyd Mayweather fought like it. If you look at a fight of theirs like a season, first couple of rounds, this happens so often. Oh, I think he might lose today. The guy's got a few jabs in, landed a few, and it was them just working out and reading what that fighter's going to do, and then they just get better and better and better until they finish them, or until they win at an absolute canter. And that's what very good league winning teams do. You have to pace yourself, and I think Arsenal are getting that right at the moment. I still think there's more to come from open play. They probably should have killed the game off and scored a couple more goals. And I think if you were to be a fly in the wall, I think that Arteta will be talking about that. It'll be a case of we need to score more goals. But it's a set pieces that I'm honestly, as a football fan, and maybe as a content creator as well, to be honest about it, watching the meltdowns when every set piece goal goes in, I do find it I don't know about you boys. You guys won't. You're in the title race to them and you're a Spurs fan. But I find it hilarious. I watched with Sam's watch along, and it's, they're going to score, and then they scored, and he's like laughing, but you can tell that laughter was really tears. It's like, how do they keep doing this? But it's becoming a bit. Did you hear the Burnley crowd if you were listening to the crowd at all? Every time Arsenal got a corner, there was a literal. And I keep saying this to people: the more people moan about it, the better they're going to get. You're almost creating this psychological damage for the opponents as soon as they get one. It's kind of it's weird. I think rivals are really helping Arsenal. It reminds me of the myth of the Anfield crowd, or even the myth of Fergie time. Because it's not a myth. We won loads of games in that time. Yeah. But what I mean by the myth is it's the greatest comeback I ever heard on TalkSport when somebody was playing down, like talking about how we only won things because of Fergie time. And this United fan phoned in and just said, you do know there was no law that stopped the other team scoring in that time as well. But it was this a law, and you guys both suffered with it. The ball would go up, home or away, and every rival of United in the Fergie era went, fuck's sake, 5 minutes. That hurts. That takes energy out your legs. That takes enthusiasm away. It wasn't, we've got 5 minutes, we can nick another goal, or we've got 5 minutes, we could win this. It was, fuck, United are going to win it. How are we going to keep them out? What, like the last 90 minutes, you mean? How are you going to keep them out now? you create these psychological like sort of trigger switches, and the Arsenal set pieces have become one. It's very interesting for me watching it.
I look at it and I say it's a bigger indictment on the defensive teams that I don't think they're doing enough work to prevent Arsenal set pieces. Because as much as they're really good, I'm not going to think they're basic set pieces, but they're basic in the sense of they work it to the back post and Gabriel finds his head on the ball, whether it goes back across goal or it goes in the goal. That's pretty much how 90% of the set pieces. You'd think that the best way to defend it is to get someone on the defensive team who's probably the biggest and most physical player you have to man mark Gabriel and do whatever you can to just get him out, like away from challenging the corner, whether that's stepping on his, we all know about the dark arts. So you got to use the dark arts on Gabriel, whether that's pulling his shorts down a little bit, grabbing on his shirt, stepping on his foot. You just got to start doing all these little things to try to distract them inside the box to stop them from doing their whole corner routine, because it is Gabriel. Gabriel, even though he didn't get his head on it this time, managed to somehow let the ball fall, get a little foot on it, bounce. Like, it was a perfect assist. Don't get me wrong, it was great play from him. But it's poor defending. And I think because you know how their set piece is going to go, the fact that they score so many shows how bad teams are at defending them.
I think the opposite. I think the fact that they do it against every team means that nobody has found the answer to be able to stop it. And I think that's a testament to how good Arsenal are at them. I do agree with you, maybe a little bit of the dark arts and blocking a run or whatever it is. But I just think Gabriel is figured something out where he's so aggressive, because he's very good at defending set pieces as well. So he's just found something where he maybe pins or penalizes a weak point within that team. And because Arsenal are able to do it against every team, that means that they're just so good at it. I think, listen, when a team is good at something, you use that to your advantage. And right now, they're unbelievable at set pieces. I think Gabriel is 21 goal involvements, which is the most since he joined Arsenal. He's 21 goal involvements, which is the most of any defender in the Premier League. And I think that just shows that since he's come in, he's been able to do something and use something to his advantage. In a game where, Premier League top level, it's about small margins. And they've obviously found something that they're just so lethal at. Now, I think, listen, over the course of the season, they definitely will maybe need to score more goals from open play. Maybe that won't work in some games. They will come against a team like against Liverpool. They weren't able to create chances from set pieces. Liverpool defended well that day, and then they got undone by just an unbelievable free kick. But I think right now, it's just teams can't cope with it, and I think that's a testament to the work that they're obviously doing, because you would have found that maybe some teams were able to stop them, but it's just they can't right now, and I think that's because of how good they are at set pieces.
Excuse me. I think there's that. Gary O'Neill said something a few weeks ago on Monday Night Football that I think it's funny. Carragher's comments got a lot of attention. Gary O'Neill didn't. And it's VAR. VAR, and this is not a dig at Arsenal, and VAR shouldn't change the rules. VAR is stopping defenders from fouling attackers. And all the things you mentioned there, Jords, people can't do that stuff anymore because VAR is watching everything. And if they watch and see you stamping on a foot, you're wrestling people to the ground, you're going to give penalties away. So defenders can't. I think what we're actually seeing is an Arsenal team that have got very good delivery takers, and they've got very aggressive players that are good at set pieces. That's first and foremost. But what would have happened up until 3 years ago, is they'd just get wrestled a bit more, pulled, knocked off balance, dragged back, dragged to the floor. Penalties wouldn't have been given, and there'd be no goals from a lot of these set pieces. It's the rules being implemented correctly because of VAR that's stopping this from happening. The same as we rarely now see offside goals. And we rarely see goals goals disallowed when they're actually onside because VAR is in play. You saw it at the weekend where Ekitike scored for Liverpool, and had VAR not intervened, that would have been a massively offside goal. I actually can't believe the line. I didn't see it. But that's where VAR does a very, very good job. The same as I think from corners. I see people moaning about it. And I'm like, no, maybe it's because my team invariably in my life have been the better side. I'm like, no, I don't like the fact that we were wrestled to the ground, but that's not football, is it? You can't wrestle people to the ground. It's a foul. I'm glad it's coming, really. But they're not the only team. A lot of teams have scored from set pieces this year. Not as good as Arsenal, but I think Chelsea are on 8 or 9 from set pieces this year? That was a lot. A lot.
I think
a
on
lot.
7, yeah.
A lot. So, yeah, loads going on there, but they look very, very good. Let's look at some of these comments that have come in here. Jords, how come defenders do dark arts against others but not Arsenal?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking. The same question. Why don't they? Nah, to be fair, I think it does come like what you say, Terry. Like a part of it is the dark arts just aren't dark anymore, and there's a light shine upon them, and that's called VAR.
Yeah.
It's hard to do a lot of it, but also
CCTV.
Arsenal are really good at handling it. That is one thing. They are one of the bigger, most physical teams in the Premier League, so they tend to bully teams. Like they've got a very big and physically imposing team.
Samuel here says, Terry, Arsenal under Mikel Arteta have taken football back to the dark ages and play Stoke City football 2.0. Look, I just think it's easy to shit on Arsenal. Look, my team nearly won a game with a final kick of a ball. Your team, I believe you're a United fan. It would have been 3 goals from set pieces in one game. Football has evolved in the Premier League, and football always evolves. At the moment, being strong, powerful, and quick are 3 of the biggest attributes that you can have. Yes, you need technical ability as well to feed balls through and to score goals and deliver crosses, but that physical side's there. And Mikel Arteta is just a manager that was ahead of the game. He saw the direction the Premier League was going in. He saw how rival clubs. It's one of the reasons that the Bournemouths and the Brentfords and the Brightons have done so well. The speed, power, and pace they have. They sit in and stop you scoring. They can catch you on the counter. They're good at defending and scoring set pieces because of that. So you have to adapt with it. And essentially, what has overtaken really good intricate play from slightly smaller players is talented players on the ball that are bigger, stronger, and more powerful. The bigger boys have shown up. So how do you counteract that? And Pep's done it himself this season. Pep himself spoke about it last year. You need to be a bit more direct. You need to be stronger and more powerful. And that's what they've gone out and tried to buy and purchase with some guile in their team like Cherki's. You need it. I look at Man United, and still one of our biggest issues is we don't still have enough speed and power from without our squad. We still don't really. Euro can do it a bit. We don't have a centre-back that can drive for a team with the ball. We don't have a centre-back that can really bully people as much as we would like. Maguire can do it a little bit, but then he doesn't have the speed and the power in other elements of his game. You know, I look at our midfield, and they've actually done quite well in the last few games. But can you imagine those same players technically? Just same technically, but with more speed, more explosive power, and more strength and size. It changes the dynamic. And by the way, in another 4 or 5 years, it will change again. There'll be another kind of adaptation or another style that comes in, and people have to adapt. It's the way football goes. But it isn't about going back to the dark ages. It's just the evolution of the sport. But you have to react to what other people are doing. What would be stupid of Arsenal, stupid of Liverpool, stupid of Man City is to go, well, we're not going to adapt to what's making us lose games. We're just going to keep playing. By the way, that's what Wenger did. Wenger didn't adapt. And the way he was winning big trophies in the 90s and early noughties, it stopped working as football became a bit more about power and size. Or what you then had is players that were 6'2" that were able to play football like players that were 5'5". But then it's like the boxing analogy. Generally speaking, a very good big un will beat a very good little un. And that's how football got as well. You know, if you literally imagine if you could play like Paul Scholes, but you were the fucking size of Onana, you're going to be almost impossible to stop. So you just have to adapt with the times, because Arteta's job isn't to entertain you, Samuel, or me, or Jords, or Jamie. His job is to try and win Arsenal football matches. You've got to adapt. So I wouldn't have a go at it. The reason I'm not going to have a go at it, who knows how good Man United will be in the next 3 years and how we're going to be playing. And I'm telling you now, if we won the league as set piece FC, I'm celebrating, bruv.
It's funny though as well, because people obviously when say, especially more towards like the tail end of Pep's kind of ideology of football, passing around the back, people were saying it's so boring. I think even Gary Neville actually said on the overlap recently, he's like, why are centre backs having so much touches of the ball nowadays? Doesn't make sense. Like, they're your least technical players. But now we're going more direct, and teams are like more physical. There's a lot more transition football. It's like, oh, it's Stone Age football. We're going back to the olden days. And even like we're talking about like olden days, like what is that? Is that like 1950s? Is it the early 2000s? Like when people said like football was at its best? You know what I mean? Like, what is the olden days? I think I agree with you. I think there's an evolution in football. And now we're seeing almost players that maybe more technical players that say had the physical attributes maybe 30 years ago, but they're unbelievably technically gifted as well. So they have like a bit of both. And that's when we're seeing like really good players come through of that ilk. So yeah, I think as you said, Pep is trying to even copy that now. He knows that he can't just have all really good technical players because he'll just get dominated physically. So you need like a bit more of that in the team.
I agree. It comes back and says, Terry, football fans pay to see exciting, entertaining, scintillating, technical, vavavoom football. I don't know if they do. Some do, and some will want that. The issue with this is my message though to football fans that think that way. Please start watching. Go to musical theatre. Go and watch dancing. Go watch ballet, breakdancing, whatever one you prefer. If you want something that is consistently entertaining, go and watch actual entertainment. Sport isn't like that. Sport will evolve. You know, sport will evolve and sport will change. I remember listening to John McEnroe talk about tennis, and he had a period of time out, and he came back, and suddenly there's all these players with slightly different rackets, and they were more powerful, and there was less rallies, and it was more about power shots from the baseline. And he said that players of his generation, he had a bit of time out, suddenly couldn't cope because they were just built different. But there were tennis aficionados that were like, this is not good for the game. We prefer the slightly slower pace than the rallies that happen and the skill and the intricacy, not the big power shots to get more aces and beat people. Sport evolves, sport changes, and that for me is part of the entertainment. Or how, for me, it's a case of I like really good scintillating football. And by the way, go watch Arsenal's second goal in the game. If you don't think that was scintillating football, I think you're deluding yourself. But let's not pretend we didn't see some amazing football this weekend. Nottingham Forest equaliser against United. The cross-field balls, the touches, the cross, the header, the whole thing was a brilliant goal. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that suddenly football's got bad. But as Jamie said, a couple of years ago, when there was more playing out from the back and less direct football, lots of people moaned about that. The issue you've got here, Samuel, and this is a lesson for life, is you can't please all of the people all of the time. And one message I've got for sports fans is if you pick football, you might be a young guy, you might be an older guy, I don't know. I've watched football now for the better part of 40 years. It changes all the time. If it's truly the sport you love, you have to accept that it evolves and it changes. It can't be I like football now and I don't like it now that this is the way. And it's I like football for that, partly for that reason. So I hear where you're coming from, but if that's what you're expecting for the next 60, 70 years of your life, you're going to have loads of periods of unhappiness because football will always chop and change. It always will, my friend. Speaking of chopping and changing and brilliance, Caicedo at the weekend. I know we've spoken about Spurs already, but fucking out of this world, Jamie, wasn't he?
Very, very good. Unbelievable. Yeah, like I feel I don't know. So obviously if you hate Chelsea, then you'll give Caicedo a bit of criticism from time to time. But I think he's like almost like a throwback player in terms of how good he is defensively. I think that when you compare him to like the likes of like Rice or Gravenberch, they're all different players in their own right. Caicedo, like winning the ball that high up, especially for the goal, and like he won it twice, didn't he? And then sets up João Pedro. It's like unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of turned into more like a box to box midfielder where like he's happy to go up and like almost be back up within a press, and then when they're sitting in and being defensive, he's so good at like blocking channels and putting in tackles. So yeah, really, really impressive. And yeah, he's kind of, for the price tag, I think there's very few players that are worth that price right now. But I think Caicedo is definitely one of them.
Yeah, living up to the price tag. He's been class. I think pretty much if you look at Chelsea this season, probably the only player that can say has been so good. A lot of players have been poor, especially in that forward area. But he just brings them sort of that level of quality and consistency that you need in a top club. And he's just a top player, man. Like you said, Jamie, he's doing more of just a defensive role. Yeah, my camera makes me look small. A lot of people think I'm tiny. I was the guy saying in chat, like, Terry must be bigger than Jords and Jamie. I was like, well, I know I look tiny like this right now, but
Jords is probably about a little bit bigger, taller than me, about 5'11", 6'footish, easy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm like 6 foot, maybe 6'1" with an Air Force or something on.
Some heels.
Yeah, just a little one. Caicedo though been really, really good, and I'm looking at him now and say he's definitely the best midfielder in the Premier League, but he's pushing on to potentially be one of the best midfielders in his position in world football, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. Chelsea at the weekend were really strange, same as Liverpool. I think both of your teams, it was the case of, well, the way you both played this weekend, there were moments. Of course, Villa had some chances and Spurs had a few moments. But I looked at them, this is the teams that I thought we'd see most of the season, if that made sense. Both Chelsea and Liverpool this weekend is what I expected for the vast majority of this campaign so far. Powerful, creative. Both didn't win by like a big goal margin, but it could have been, if that made sense, and that happened. But I thought Caicedo was amazing for Chelsea. I thought similar with Liverpool, Jamie. How about you? I thought it was an absolute massively marked improvement on the previous few weeks.
Yeah, huge. I think it was kind of a throwback to last season. I think right now with the difficulty Liverpool are in, you kind of have to rely on some of the experienced players. The players that we've obviously brought in haven't settled straight away. And yes, you can question that and you can say you spent X amount of money and they should be better than what we've seen, 100%. I think I would agree with that. But if you go back to it, like Salah performed really well, probably his best game this season. Robertson comes in for Kirkhouse. We look a lot more solid. Van Dijk played really well. And those, like say, Szoboszlai was really good as well. The players that we obviously won us the league were the ones that kind of got us through. Now, I think Villa, I was looking at the numbers. So United played 75 long balls against us. Villa played 47. I think Villa played into our hand a little bit. Like the press from our side worked a lot more because they were playing out from the back, and that's where both goals came from effectively. So I think that's something that was good for us. Like our press is still there. But yeah, I think I'll be interested now. I'm going to the Madrid game tomorrow, and then we're playing Man City. And I'll be interested to see what way they kind of play, because they're obviously more teams that like to play out from the back rather than, say, long balls. So I'll be interested to see what way they cope. Will they try and put Liverpool under pressure in that way, or will they stick to what they know? But yeah, like, listen, after the form that we've been in, the performances that we've put in, they haven't been good enough. The Brentford game was probably the most worrying in that run, because we knew what we were going to get and we didn't step up to the plate. So it was good just to obviously get back to winning ways in the Premier League, and hopefully now we can have a good couple of results this week and kind of kick on from there.
Yeah. I think you can. This is why I look at the manager. He made those changes, and he didn't isolate the midfield so much. Didn't have your midfielder exit, your 2-8s go forward, and then your 2 fullbacks push on. And those little subtle differences just change things. And it's similar with Chelsea. I saw, again, they just looked a bit more compact, a little bit more together in the way they played against Spurs. And maybe Spurs being less offensive helped, and you've got to play that in. And I do think that Villa, where I would, as you say, they didn't go as long as previous teams have. And I always love to pick a manager's brain around United and Brentford and Galatasaray. All these teams did really well against Liverpool going long. Why did you play less long balls than Man United played more long balls? I looked at it. All the games that you guys lost, the teams, they played less long balls in 90 minutes than those other teams did in each quarter of the game. And you sort of sit there and think, what goes through Unai Emery's mind to not at least try something? I don't know whether it's a mishap or whether it's a bit of arrogance where they're going, I'm going to beat them playing my way. I'm not going to do it. I don't know what goes through managers' heads sometimes. It confuses me.
Yeah, I think when I looked at the game, it was just back to default settings. I think Slot went to, what, let's go back to what we were doing last year a little bit. Let's get Robertson back in there. Let's go back to basic and let's just get some confidence again. We're at Anfield. We can't afford to lose. Let's just build that confidence back in. And that's where I think that the performance came from yesterday. I don't necessarily think that you guys were really good. And I don't necessarily think Aston Villa were really bad, but you done good enough. And ultimately, that was a game that was always going to be just a confidence booster because you got massive games this week. So however that result went, even if you won by 5 goals, I think it would have been the same as it is right now. Don't take too much from it. That's Aston Villa. We've got massive games ahead. So, yeah, it's going to be the real testers in this Real Madrid and Man City ones, man.
I'm excited and I'm bricking it. Yeah, because it could go either way.
Yeah, this week's so interesting. I feel like the last couple of days, yesterday was today, it's going to be a bit of a lull. It's going to be quite quiet in the footballing world. And then you've got the Champions League week, which always brings up loads of talking points. And then another massive weekend before the international break. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, they always seem to have like a really big game before the international break. And then a really big game when it first comes back. And people keep telling me, oh, it's random. If I had this weekend this wasn't the final game of they would never put Bournemouth City Bournemouth City on the final day before an international break. But yeah, this week's going to be really interesting because, can Chelsea keep the run going? Who wins out of United and Tottenham? The City-Liverpool game. Can Arsenal sort of have almost, be absolute? Could they go absolutely perfect in between international breaks? No goals conceded, all the goals scored, winning all the games. There's so many interesting talking points this week. There really, really is. So exciting times. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show. It means a great deal to us. Jamie and Jords, let everyone know where they can find you on socials, please, lads.
Yeah, man. Just Durag Diaries _4 Jords. Catch me over on my channel, 2 p.m. I'll be doing a North Divide show with Hooks, talking Arsenal and Tottenham and, a bit more on the Premier League stuff. So catch me live at 2, man.
Yeah. The Football Story on YouTube, predominantly on there. I'm going to the Real Madrid game tomorrow, so do a match day vlog for that and see how that goes, but hopefully we get the results.
There we go. Listen, everyone, this is going to redirect you to Hassam's channel. Big Liverpool show going on over there, so go and support my brother. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. Look after yourselves, and we'll speak to you all again very, very soon. Bye-bye.